everybody. My name's Craig.
I'm Brian.
I'm Burke.
And I'm Michelle.
And this is Get Dunked On, the podcast.
I am an old man digging a hole. Diggy hole.
Brian.
Okay. No, we're doing this.
No,
No.
you're totally have no idea what that is.
Acknowledge it is real, and I will let it go.
I'm not saying it's not real.
We're saying we don't want it to be real anymore.
Yeah. And we don't want to hear it. That's
Hey,
the
31
difference.
million plus views on just the one animation I sent you of it. Yeah, I think it's pretty legit.
You mean the
Oh, is it
animation
like
I didn't click?
So it's a YouTube poop video? Is that what it is then?
No, it's been around for 100 years. Jeez.
But it's a YouTube animation or an internet animation song, kind of like the Badger song.
No,
like where
yes,
it lived and died.
Okay,
there.
yeah, no, I'll give you that. It is very similar to that.
That's
but
why none of us give one shit, and you seemingly do.
you son of a bitch.
You're steeped in your internet lore.
Those are some epic timpanis they got going on. I tell ya.
Am I right?
No, one of us has fallen.
Yeah,
Clicked on it.
my fellow dwarf friend.
So, speaking of things that may or may not be real here, let me tell you this story about what's been happening at work. So, I think last week sometime, one of my workers gave me a pin for leukemia, and I don't know if you guys know this, but like generally the symbol for like leukemia awareness is just like a drop of blood. So that's just what this pin is. And so she gave it to me, and I started cracking up, and I told them about the time that I went to Taco Bell once, and my debit card is red, and for some reason this kid that was working at Taco Bell looked at my red debit card, looked at me, looked at my car, and I don't know if you guys know what kind of car I have, but it's a Chevy Spark. It is not intimidating. It's small as shit. It's like it's a very girly car, and you know, I have the Red Wing symbol decal, and I have a bunch of Zelda decals on it. Like, there is nothing about my car that screams like scary. And he was like literally like in the smallest whisper was like, "Are you a member of the Bloods?" And I was like,
my gosh.
"No." But so I told them this story at work.
Wait, no.
So I told them this story. You know, I swear to God, like, this kid really asked me that, and I was like, "No." And he's like, "Why is your debit card red?" And I was like, "I work for Target," and it's like, from Target. Like, have you been to a Target? Everything's red. Like, everything. So I told this story to them at work, and they started cracking up, especially since she had just given me this pin. And then they were like, "Wait, maybe you are a member of the Bloods." So they came up with like this whole theory about how I'm like this secret head
my God.
of the Bloods.
Oh, you're in charge. You went from being a member to being
and it gets better.
Uh-huh.
It also spun a conspiracy theory that I'm responsible for Tupac and Biggie Smalls.
You know,
As a very angry toddler child.
I was going to say, how old were we when they died there? I mean, that was
Not very old.
no. We would have been like, I don't know,
8.
8 at max. Yeah.
Like,
okay.
yeah, that's like stretching it. I actually meant to go look up what year it was, but I didn't. But like, I'm like, yeah, totally angry child toddler, and I got away with it for the past, 25 years or whatever.
If Rugrats was real, Michelle was the one that killed Tupac.
So yeah, that's a conspiracy theory going on around work right now, which is really hilarious. And like this one person who walked in kind of in the middle of it just kind of stopped in the hallway and was like, "This is the greatest conversation I've ever overheard."
Well, yeah. I'm glad that they took it that way.
Well, to be fair, Michelle, you were at least a little older than you're actually about right for your age. Tupac died in 96 and Notorious died in 97. Were those the two that were?
Yeah.
Yeah. So those right there, like 96 and 97.
So I was 9 and then 10.
Yeah, like you was right there.
Despite our rage.
And I got away with it, guys.
Are we sure that you're not immortal?
I should have talked about this when we were talking about breaking the law, because, I got away with this for the past 22 years from then.
That's a fantastic conspiracy theory by your coworkers, though. I mean, okay. The only time I've ever had a conspiracy theory with myself at work was I was at a contract and I came in late, so everyone thought I was like hired in to be like essentially a spy on the rest of the other people because I came in late and I was an expert in the field, but they hired me because literally they were shorthanded and they needed an expert in the field. So they brought me in, and but everyone was like, "Oh shit, he knows more than all of us, and he's been here for a day. He's clearly a spy." And so like nobody would eat lunch with me, and I'm like, "What are we, fucking 5?" Like,
So they thought you were like undercover boss there.
I
Like,
swear to God, they did because like I showed up in a suit, and they're like, "Oh, he dresses nicer than us, and he knows more. Clearly, he's a spy." And I'm like, Jesus criminy.
I love the lengths that the human mind will go to try and rectify things that are not
like,
confusing. Just it goes, well, this guy knows more than me.
He
He's
can't
only
be
been here for a
better
day.
than me.
This
Like,
is wrong. Like this isn't right.
Yes.
I should know more. And Brain goes, not Brian. Brain goes, nope. Conspiracy.
Drawing through lines. but I like that a blood pin turned into she's clearly a member of the Bloods. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I don't have anything like that. I got nothing to top that. But I do have a story about like being the first guy or a new guy, right? So I moved to Denver, right? I'm in the office the first day, and like the first day I'm in the office, they put me in the middle of a cube farm, and everyone goes, and I'm talking to the Houston people because I'm still transitioning my job, and I'm yelling at this guy going, dude, you need to do this. You need to do this. You take the financials here and it just went off. And apparently all the sales guys sit to my right, and then all the technical guys sit around, and everyone's like looking at me on this call like, who the fuck is the new guy who's yelling at people in the middle of a cube farm? I get off the call, everyone's like, hi, who are you? And what are you doing here? And I'm like, and how long have you been with? Oh, like, 6 years. And they're like, what did you do? And I'm like, oh, your boss's job. Oh, oh, I get it now. Yeah, but no, I'm not a blood. Sorry.
I've never had any conspiracy about me, but there's been plenty of conspiracy about my father and his line of work.
That's
and
true.
The legality of his line of work.
That's true. No, I'm still convinced.
A lot of people have said that he works for the mafia. I will vehemently deny it on any court system, and I will not comment any further on it.
I didn't say he worked for the mafia. I said he ran the mafia. There's a difference.
Hey, I said what I said, and I'm not commenting further on it.
We did have the theory that my mom was part of that because she worked in HR and got all the perks that the company, like credit cards, that would all the benefits would somehow roll to her. And so we got free shit all the time. We're like, yeah, mafia.
HR heads rolling department. Put the lines together, Burke.
Yeah.
I'm seeing them.
I forgot to mention my HR is the one who started this conspiracy theory.
See,
So I have no protection at work now because.
Well, no. Now that you say that, it's the opposite. Now you should have the silver bullet. You can get away with anything. You're like, excuse me, I'm going to file a formal complaint that you guys said I was part of a notorious gang group. Like at that point, you go, I feel attacked at my own work. Like you have the silver bullet.
You take on the head of HR and you take her job, and then you can run that just like you run the Bloods.
First you get the money, then you get the power. Oh wait, sorry. Quoting Scarface over here.
Man, I'd be scared to go work for you, Michelle, over at the at Target there, running the Bloods, running HR. Like,
yeah, why do you think everything's red? That's why.
It's too much.
That's the only reason.
Yeah, if you turn a black light on Target, all blood splatter everywhere, but you can't tell because it's all red, and it's like, what? Oh my! It's wow. I'm a little afraid, guys. I'm a little spooked right now.
Speaking of being spooked, have you guys played? I know it's afterwards, especially for people listening to this. Did you guys play any good scary games lately? Anything for like Halloween or anything around there? Like play some spooky, scary skeletons?
Absolutely not.
It depends on what you mean by scary. If you're saying scary in the sense of like intentionally scary games, no. Scary games that were actually scary, even though they didn't intend to be, yes, definitely.
No, I was talking like the intention is like a horror or scary game.
Oh God, no! I steer the hell away from those if possible. Like that is if I see those like in coming down a lane, I'm like, oh, I'll jump over 4 lanes without a turn signal. Just like steer away from that. Yeah.
So Okay. So that's kind of what we're tackling this week is we're going to be talking about like scary games or maybe games you play in the fall. And I'm even all right talking about just like the craziness that is the fall release schedule, like fall holiday release schedule for video games. But I want to start off with this is asking, because it sounds like, Michelle, are you kind of roughly in the same group that Brian is, where it's like, nope.
It depends. Brian, have you watched people play scary games?
I will watch people play certain scary games. I will not.
Because I have watched a number of scary games.
Okay.
I have not played very many.
I will not watch Five Nights at Freddy's. And I will not watch.
Me either. Fuck that. And then for some reason, like Five Nights at Freddy's is like super popular with children. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with all of you?
It makes no sense.
Oh my god. My nephew, who's like 7, 8 years old, is scared of everything and loves Five Nights at Freddy's. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
That's
no.
I just want to put this out there real quick before we get any further into this. I originally thought the game was called Friday Night at Freddy's, and it really took the edge off the game since then.
Friday Night at Freddy's. Now I'm picturing it like it's just your uncle or something.
Yeah.
Like it's like, hey.
That's how you pitched it to me. Yeah, we're Friday Night at Freddy's. I'm like, okay, sure.
Friday Night at Freddy's. All right, come back. I'm sorry. That just took the wind out of the sails for that whole series past that.
Wait, did you just find this out right now as we were talking?
No.
Oh, okay.
It was like when it first started popping up, whatever, like 2-3 years ago, or I don't know how long ago it was. It seems like it was 15 minutes ago, but you know, we're old and things pass by. But I originally, when people first started coming out, like right after it started getting popular because of whatever YouTubers were playing it, I literally it kind of registered in my head as Friday Night at Freddy's and not Five Nights at Freddy's. I don't know if it was just I just misheard, or I just misread, or I just filled in the blanks for FNAF or whatever the thing was. But it was Friday Night at Freddy's for the longest time. And so I always think of like the fucking Fredbear with the backwards cap with the pizza, like, hey, bro, this is Friday night at my house.
Oh man.
Okay, but you guys won't play those, and you're not watching those ones for sure, right?
Yeah. Anything with like built around the jump scare? No, I won't. I will not watch that. But I will watch, like, if there is something like what's the game, Silent Hill or something like that,
or
like Resident Evil.
Something like that.
I'll watch those,
okay.
But I will not watch
those.
intentional like pop-up scare games because, like, fuck that.
The pure intention is for pop-up scare, not for just
right. Because I mean, yes, and this is something that when you say this on the internet, you get crucified for it. But like, I know, like, Five Nights at Freddy's says like deep lore. Blah, blah, blah. It's a fucking jump scare game. Okay, like it's a jump scare game. Like, yes, I'm sure there's a big backstory that has been built into your jump scare game, but at the end of the day, it's a jump scare game. Like, so I'm just not interested.
Okay, and so. With that, Michelle, were you saying that you would play and watch the other game? Or I guess, Brian, you would play the other ones or just watch the other scary games?
I wouldn't. I do not buy games to be scared, and when I get scared in a game that I own, it's totally unintentional. And I have a shit ton of stories about times where I was terrified from games that I bought, but I would never buy a scary game intentionally.
Okay. All right, Michelle, you seemed like you were the next one on the ladder. Where are you at on the playing of the different types of games?
So you were watching me play very recently a game series that was puzzle, not really meant to be scary, and you saw how I reacted very frequently. So I mean, can you imagine like an actually scary
Wait, what franchise is this?
Okay, you say the franchise and then I want to say a note.
Okay, so it's a Flash series and it's called Rusty. It's by Rusty Lake and it's called Cube Escape. Is this the game series?
And for those that missed the live streams that Michelle, myself, and on I think the later ones, Burke was joining in on, the scariest part for me was Michelle screaming into the microphone when a jump scare would get her. Because I'm watching over Skype the video, and Mumble is handling the audio. Mumble is faster than the Skype does video
by like
and so
a
the
very
jump scare
slight amount.
So the jump scare, like I could tell, like when she was just about to click something, she'd move the mouse over. She had a cadence to her click, so I knew when the jump scare was going to happen for the most part. What would get me is the mouse is still moving, and then I'd get it scared every living piss out of me because I wouldn't be ready for it because I'm already calculating out how long it usually takes her to go over, click, and then something pop up. Even when it's not scary, like, oh, I clicked the paper, it flipped over. But now she goes over to click something like a knife and, you know, something pops up to get her or whatever it was. And she would scream a half second before then. It completely threw me off.
But yeah, I don't handle scares very well.
So I kind of want to pause that one. I want to come back to that. But do you like get super intense into that story of the game? Is that why you don't play them? Like you get like super immersed in the universe? Yeah.
So for the games that I have watched people play that I personally will not play, that is my primary motivation, is like I really do enjoy the story.
Okay.
But and I mean the jump scares get me, but they get me so much worse when I'm the one that's playing.
Okay.
Like when I'm watching people, I can usually hold back my screams. But like when I'm playing, oh no, it's bad.
And Brian, have you ever tested that theory where like you get like super into it and that's why other games scare you when they're not intentionally to?
Well, the thing is that like it's the same thing as Michelle. If a game is interesting, like Resident Evil storyline, for example, I was fascinated by that, watching that was people play that, but I won't watch someone play it for real. I'll watch a comedy people play it, and I feel better because they're sitting there and they're laughing and joking the whole time and talking over it. So even when something scary pops out, they're like, and then I was talking to my sister when all of a sudden they're like, oh my god, did you see that? Was crazy. And it's not just like pure audio of like you know, as Craig said, and I'm like, no, I won't do that. So
and is there one more question, and then I know we're gonna get to Craig and I and our opposite probably view. Is that a 1-to-1 relationship to scary movies?
Yeah, I don't usually go. I don't watch scary movies really that often.
I will watch more scary games than I will scary movies.
And I'd flip that. I'd watch more movies than I would games.
Mostly because I find that a lot of horror movie plots don't grip me the way the horror video game plots do.
Okay, fair enough. Interesting. So, go ahead.
No, Burke, where are you at on the scale then?
So I'm actually, I will not watch scary movies. So I'll answer my question kind of that way. I will not watch scary movies, but I have no problem playing a scary game that I know has a really good story. Like the Resident Evils, and like Dead Space, like those games like fascinated me. I still haven't completed any of the Dead Spaces because they scared the shit out of me. But I absolutely loved it. It was so much fun to play. But then like I started playing Outcast, one of the free games that came out on Xbox or something like that, and I couldn't do it. Outlast, yes.
That game is fucking terrifying. Holy fuck. I couldn't even watch it anymore. I was like, nope, sorry. Read the plot on Wikipedia.
Yeah. Wow.
Nice.
Like I started playing it and got to a certain point and I was like, nope, I can't do this. It's like freaky. Nope, can't do it. I think it was in the basement. And then that was on the PlayStation 4 when I had that. And then it came out free on the Xbox most recently. And the only thing I remember is watching Craig play it and still getting kind of freaked out. So yeah, that's kind of where my
what is that game about? I'm sorry, I don't know that one that well.
Asylum.
Oh,
you're a photojournalist or something like that.
You have a camera, and yeah.
That's all you have is a camera. And you got to run around trying to find batteries.
Play it.
So I think I'm on the opposite spectrum of every single one of you. I will watch any of the scary movies. I will play any of the jump scare games. I own, I think, the first 4 Friday Night at Freddy's.
It's still not called that.
Yep, I said nope. It's Friday Night at Freddy's. Trust me. He's got pizza and he's brown out. I'll do all of that, and I think I honestly get more into the storyline of scary games than I do nearly any other genre. I was just thinking about it today or yesterday when kind of like trying to wrap my head around different things. And I figured that out, that I think I honestly do, where when I start playing through certain games, it becomes more of a tactical, I am trying to maximize my efficiency in a game.
Yeah.
Scary games, like, nope, I am trying not to shit myself while I run around. So I'm not thinking like, okay, I need to go here, and like, all right, if I vault over this, I can get 2 hits on this guy, stun lock him till I can get by and do this. I mean, if I do that, it's because I'm like, I'm scared shitless, and I'm like, no, and just trying to hit the guy and go away. I am like immediately just completely consumed because I'm trying to pay attention. Like, am I going to get hit by something? Is something to pop out at me? And so I love playing the scary games like that. There's not normally a lot of them that I like, because even though like the Five Nights at Freddy's, excuse me, I got to say it right, the Friday Night at Freddy games, they do have this quote big backstory lore to them, but like it to me, if it's not in that type of game, in other games it's fine too, because Dark Souls does it really well where it's all like in the background. But it's hard for me to get into a game that it feels like a Flash game to me.
Yeah, it does.
More than anything, because you're not really like exploring, you're not moving around, you're not doing that kind of stuff. There's not like a lot of, I'm not going to say skill, because there's a lot of RNG that goes into it and you need to have the skill to how to manage certain things, but like there's not a lot of like this, I don't know how to put it, like anything else that's like a fighting game / adventure / first person shooter / RPG. These, they have like some kind of like thing about it where this is like, hey, point and click, and you know, like I need a little bit, like even the Cube games seem like there's more to it. Like you have to put puzzles together in your head. You know, and that's like, isn't that literally a Flash game?
Yes.
Or something
it
akin?
is literally a Flash game.
And that feels like that has more game mechanics than this does. This is like, okay, just it's micromanaged the scary horror game. Like, and so I don't like that, but, I love those types of games, because I really get into it, because I am not looking to complete that motherfucker. I'm not looking to see what achievements I can get out of it. It is just like straight up, I am trying to go through. And Outlast had something really funny where I got stuck on something because I missed one little button I was supposed to hit, or I was supposed to go into a room and I never noticed it was a room. I thought it was a locked door. And it was never locked. So I got to the point where that game didn't scare me because I ran around so much. I mean, it was probably a good 2 hours I ran around and I didn't do anything. I couldn't figure out what to do. And so I finally looked it up and went, oh, there's a door over there. At that point, I had like figured out everything. I kind of gotten out of that. I'm scared. And I'd gotten into really figuring out like what I can do mechanically.
You weren't in survival mode anymore. You were in. Yeah.
I was in, I'm looking for bugs now. I'm looking for something to do in a game. I was like using game theory instead of, like you said, survival mode.
I absolutely love that feeling that Craig's talking about, though. The getting into the game and getting sucked in, that you have that survival instinct kind of comes up. I don't get that with many other games, like as I do with when I do play horror ones. And I can't say I've played any recently, but in past I've played quite a few of them. And those experiences just they're I don't know, there's nothing like it. Like when I'm playing, like yes, you have, you get super excited when you know something about a story, you get super into it, but like there's just a different excitement level that you actually accomplish something, I think.
There's this entirely different feeling in my chest, and it's a good feeling. Like it's fear and it's like a tightness, but it's so much fun. Comparatively to like, oh, I did something really cool in whatever Overwatch. I got like a couple headshots in a row. Like that's more of like this elated high feeling. And this is so much more of like a visceral, not gut feeling, but it's just like in your chest. And it feels so
like
good
you
when you escape
dodged
it.
A bullet.
Yes.
Yeah, where the other one's like, yeah, I'm awesome at a video game in my 30s.
Well, no, it's the equivalent of like if you were playing Doom and fighting the same monsters you were in Outlast, right? You know, the insane people, but you had like a sweet shotgun that you're blowing them all away, and you're like, and it's like mission cleared, bah, 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 bah. Like versus like if you sneak around and you're surviving and you don't get caught and they don't kill you and it doesn't pop up at you, then yeah, it's a totally different high. It's a feeling of like, holy shit, I survived another day versus like I totally own that kid kind of thing. So,
oh, that's the high I wish I could chase all the time.
Do you think you get that from Dark Souls? Because I think I kind of do. Not the scare, but I get in that survival mode and wanting to beat the boss. And like that's mainly the first or second playthrough. Now it's kind of like I know what the fuck I'm doing. But yeah.
Really, you guys get that from Dark Souls?
Yeah.
Yes, I get that feeling of I survived,
Well,
I did it.
You got to think, Brian, the first time we went through it, like you didn't have two guys who knew exactly what to do.
Yeah,
And-
that's true. Yeah. I gotcha.
All right.
Go ahead.
So we've been talking, and it sounds like a lot of our experiences that we're talking about right now have been pretty recent. I would actually like to know what everyone's first encounter with a scary video game was, because I personally also have a story for that, and it's hilarious.
I don't know, but I want to say, like, I know I played like Silent Hill or whatever is it 64 PlayStation era? I don't know.
PlayStation.
Yeah, it was that era. Like, I think that was one of the first ones, and I never had one, so I didn't play it, and get really into it. And so I was like, yeah, okay, it's a scary game. It's kind of creepy, but I don't remember it. I can't recall any specific whatever. That to say, the one I do remember was on the Xbox, and the fucking name slips my mind, but it was like a melee horror. Craig, I made you play it because it was free.
The one for the one that was on the 360.
It might have been 360.
It was one of the early ones for 360. First weapon you find is like a pipe, and you're a detective or something. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I just can't think of it.
Yeah, I'll think of it and say it later. But like, I remember, and the part that the part that I remember about this game is I was at a buddy's house, and we rented the video game from like Blockbuster or something, and we went over to his house, closed the curtains, and played this game for 24 hours straight on hard.
Wow.
Wow. Literally, and the thing was, like, if you died, you gave up control and someone else had to play. And no one wanted to fucking play because it was all groupthink. Everyone was scared shitless in this pitch black room. And like, you know, the only time we saw light was when we went to get food and go to the restroom and or fall asleep on the couch, you know, because that's what I did. So, but like, it was so intense because all of us were freaking out, but we wanted to get to the game. We wanted to accomplish it. And that was probably one of the best things. So, but yeah, that's probably the first time I ever played a scary game. And that's what kind of drove me to continue playing them.
So yeah, my first experience with a scary game, it's kind of hard to pin down, to be honest, because I didn't really like seek out or play scary games when I was a kid. They were, as I said, kind of more unintentionally scary. But they're the only game I can say for sure that I can say, like, maybe this is like the earliest thing I could think of as my scariest game was Doom. But specifically, there was one monster in Doom that just kind of freaked me out more than the rest, because like, you guys remember Doom? You started off as like and you're like, and it's playing that badass rock music, and you get a shotgun immediately, and you'd feel like a badass, and you're running around, right? You remember that kind of feeling, maybe?
Yep.
Okay.
I actually never played Doom. Sorry.
Okay. Well, the point is that you feel like a total badass, and like, you know, at the beginning of the game, and you're just kind of going around rocking everybody. But then you get to like the third or fourth level, and you get into this maze, right? And the only way I can describe it is if you remember those old like Windows screensaver mazes from back in the day, it felt like one of those where you just kept turning corners and you weren't really getting anywhere.
Okay.
But the point is that you
that was a screensaver. I used to play. I thought that was a game.
I did too. I got to be honest. I had to look it up, and I realized that it was in fact a screensaver. I was going to call it a game, but I screwed that up. Yeah, but I was like, no, wait, good catch. But I did send you guys a picture though of some of the Doom characters, and it's the pink one. If you were going to take a look at that, but I turn the corner, and waiting for me is that giant pink monster, right? And that thing is just sitting there, and he's hunched over, he's got a big mouth, and he's got bloody red, you know, teeth and everything else. And I was like, holy shit. And I just freaked out because nothing I was doing was killing it. I'm just firing, and no matter where you run in the maze, it follows you. And it doesn't, obviously, like like pretty much everything, but it doesn't stop till you're dead. And I don't know, it just freaked me the hell out. So that was my first like terror inducing moment.
Was there a game that you like? Was there a horror game you started playing at one point that made you realize, nope, never again? Or did you just never ever attempt any of the horror games?
I never attempted it. Like, I liked games that had creepy feeling stuff, like Castlevania, but that was never like scary to me. That was like, that's that what do they call it, spoopy or whatever, like where it's not exactly actually scary, it's just there for oh, I'm a skeleton, kind of fun kind of thing.
So technically there is a chance that you could play a scary game and think it was the best thing in the world.
Absolutely.
While it being a small percentage chance, being that if you feel that way, as getting scared as you do with like watching and other things, it's probably not going to work, but there's technically a chance.
Yeah. It's and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that like scary games are dumb, but because I don't like them or whatever. It's just that I've never sought them out, and because of that, I just don't have the desire to sit down and play a bunch of scary games. So I guess if for first experiences, that would be it. Although I've had plenty of scares in games.
So my first experience with being scared in a game, because there's the difference between my first like scary game and my first being scared in the middle of a game. There was once. It's a small one, and I don't really remember it that much. There was something about, I don't even remember what was scaring me in it, but the game Myst?
Yes.
It's basically just a big puzzle game. There was something in it that freaked me out when I was, whenever that game was.
I actually think that I think that game is unnerving because it was probably one of your first experiences not seeing your characters. I specifically felt unnerved the first time I ever tried to play Myst for that reason.
Huh.
Like because it was an not FPS, but like a first person perspective.
Yeah, because I was pretty young, hadn't had a lot of first person experience, and there's also like, I think it's because like stuff's really not happening, but you think it's going to. I think that's what makes Myst unnerving, even though it's not actually a scary game at all.
And it would happen to you, not to Mario. It would happen to you. Interesting.
That was the first time that I like was scared, but I don't remember much besides I was playing it with my uncle, and my parents were like, my mom got mad at my uncle for letting me play the game, thinking it probably was like a scary game. Sure. And he let me play. Looking at it now, it was just something goofy. But the first time I remember playing a game and being spooked the hell out to where the point I would avoid it like the fucking plague. Because I until about this time, I played a lot of just like sports games because that's all my parents got for me. Was in Super Mario 64 when the fucking Boo would be at the end of the hallway. I avoided even looking the camera in that direction. I'd have to go downstairs, and I would just as quickly as possible jump over like the ledge and quickly go and turn the camera so I didn't have to see the Boo down there. It took me forever to build up this like courage to go even see what the hell was down there. I just saw that Boo and I was like, nope, not happening. Not happening at all. And I just never, ever went down that hallway until a lot later in life when I went, I wonder what there's a level here. Like I had beaten the game. I completely skipped that entire area and beat the game without even going down that Boo house or down that Boo hallway.
So does everyone have experiences like that in a game that's not scary that you're like, nope?
Oh, absolutely.
No. So that's the one I have more experiences with. Yeah.
I would like to take us back to 2001.
Okay.
When you're playing through Halo for the first time and come upon the flood and 343 Guilty Spark. And like, I remember the first time it was late one night. The first time I'm playing this and we're playing through Legendary Co-op and I'm like, what the fuck oh my God, there's fucking elite blood. There's goddamn needle ammo. What the fuck is this shit? What is going on? And then the guy shoots himself in the head or tries to shoot you. And I'm like, the fuck is going on? And then you see the flood and I'm scared shitless. And it's not, you do it now and like we speed run it. You're like, whatever, move, get the fuck out of the way. But that first time was that heart pounding shit that we were talking about earlier.
Okay, can we agree that the N64 had some terrifying titles that weren't intentionally like terrifying? Like for example, for me, dead serious on this, Mario 64 had scary elements in it for sure, but the real culprit was Ocarina of Time. That shit was terrifying to me.
The fucking well,
Really?
The well.
and the fucking Shadow Temple, but the well is worse.
The well is the worst one by far.
The well was the okay. When you become an adult, the first temple you go to, the Forest Temple, is automatically bad. Like in the sense that like it's terrifying because it has that
That was creepy as hell.
And you're just sitting there, just like, what the fuck? And you're like, I don't like this. And then the ghosts appear, and you're like, oh shit, there's ghosts. Okay, well now what do I do? And they're like, and now a wall master. I'm like, what the fuck is happening? Like, being an adult in that game, I immediately put the sword back. I'm like, go back to childhood. Like, I'm like, I was so because I wanted the boomerang back. I was like, I want the boomerang. And like, so that terrified the fuck out of me. And then you, as you said, the well thing. At the moment of the well, I was scared. But here's the real problem: it's the immediately following that you go into the Shadow Temple, and I was like, "There's an entire temple of this. Fuck it, I am out," and I just didn't do it. I skipped the temple. I got the hover shoes at the beginning and went straight to the Spirit Temple. I'm like, I'm not doing the Shadow Temple. That is too terrifying. And I literally didn't beat the game for years I did every other side quest, every other mission. My brother beat the game before I did. He did because he wasn't afraid to play that level. I was chicken shit. I couldn't do it. It was too scary. Oh god.
I didn't have any problem with the Shadow Temple. The well is what got me. Like I definitely was creeped out by the Shadow Temple. But for some reason, I don't know if it was because like the character was an adult at that point. I felt fine. Like I was creeped out, but I was like, I can fucking do this. I don't have to worry. I'm good. And like Bongo didn't get me at all. Like that was actually more. If I was to put it in words that I would think now, I would think it's kind of like, okay, that's just kind of stupid. It's disembodied hands. That's not scary. That's sort of like the way I felt about it, where I was like, okay, just go through, shoot it with the arrows, stun it, do the thing, whatever it was. Like that was no problem. But the fucking well because I think it was just the first time you would run into that enemy, or at least I had
dead
hand, that I didn't want to go down there at all, ever. I got the shit I needed from there and fucking bailed. Was like, nope, out, done, never coming back here again. And I think I just got more annoyed with the Shadow Temple with some of the puzzles with the fucking Lens of Truth.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. That's why it scared me, is that half the stuff was hidden in the Shadow Temple unless you had the Lens of Truth equipped, and I didn't have the extended magic meter, and I was afraid to turn it off. So my magic would go, and it was out. I'm like, well, I guess I'm done with this temple. Bye-bye. And I left because I literally, I was walking, and I'd be walking into spikes or something. And it was terrifying as a kid.
I figured out I didn't figure it out. I found it online, but I found the glitch for unlimited use of the, what do you call it?
Lens of Truth.
Lens of Truth.
Oh, see, I still don't know that.
Pretty early on, and I'd use that, and I was like, well, this is easy.
Yeah, see, I know. Oh, what about you, Michelle? What's one of the ones that freaked you out?
Okay. So my first one, so Craig brought up the point of like, being scared versus like an actual scary game. So the first time I remember actually being scared in a game, mine was also a Mario game. It was Mario 3 for the NES, and it was in World 2, the first fortress. And there's a part where like you go from level 1, like the first level of the fortress, and you go up a pipe to level 2, basically.
Yeah, I know.
And right before the pipe, there's a boo. And I didn't know that boo could go through the floor. So, and I was just standing there like waiting for the thwomps, like, okay, like, I'm gonna wait, figure this all out, like, and then go, and that fucking boo came out of the floor and just instantly killed me, and like my heart stopped. Like I was just like, oh fuck. Like, and then I was just like, and then for like years I wouldn't play that fortress. Like when I'd play with my parents, I'd be like, you guys have to do this level, like I can't do this. And then I figured out, if I just turn around for a second, like I can prevent this. But it took a long time for me to figure. Well, it took a long time for me to. I knew I could do that with boos, but I didn't think to do it on a different level.
Okay,
it's what it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was the first time like a video game scared me. My first encounter with a scary game, I was at a friend's house for like a sleepover thing, and I had fallen asleep. Like I was sleeping in her living room, and her brother was playing games, or started playing games at some point after I'd fallen asleep, and he was playing a Devil May Cry game. I don't know which one. And I woke up, and he was at a part where there's a giant marionette chasing you with like a bloody knife. And like marionettes have always terrified me. I read like the entire Goosebumps series as a kid, and none of them scared me except for Night of the Living Dummy. And ever since I read that fucking book, I've never liked puppets, marionettes, any of that. So then I woke up to this from this video game, and I was like, what is this? And he told me, I forget which one, but he said Devil May Cry. And I was like, I'm never, ever looking at this game series again. And I still haven't. Like, that's one series I've never watched anybody play. I've never read anything about it. I was just like, nope, they've got a marionette. Fuck that series. Like, I'm done.
Wow.
So that was like my first encounter with like a scary game, especially because in my house, like, we were barely allowed M-rated titles. And any of the M-rated titles we had were not scary games. So, and then my first experience, like Craig was asking you, Brian, like if there was a game that made you like decide, nope, I'm not playing scary games. I had that. And that was actually Craig, your brother-in-law, was trying to really get me into play the Resident Evil games. So he lent the remake of the first one on GameCube to me. And he's like, yeah, like, just play this. It'll be great. First zombie I encountered, I threw the controller and I was like, nope, fuck this. I'm done. Walked away, and I haven't been back since, except I did play through most of 5 and 6, only because they're not scary the way the first few were.
I want to play the new one in VR.
Yeah,
it's the only way I'm going to play it.
No chance in the world would I do that.
I kind of want to shit my pants. Like, that's...
Well, okay. So... you mentioned Dark Souls earlier, and that you get a little bit creeped out by it, even on your mainly on your first playthrough or whatever. Like Dark Souls to me, even if on my first time viewing it, like I don't view it in that way, not because I don't think it's a good series or whatever, but because I just have a different lens. Like to me, it's like a spooky roller coaster that rather than like an experience of being scared. Like I view it as like, this is my character in this world and he's fighting these monsters, not like, oh no, the giant worm is gonna kill me kind of thing. But the one thing, but Craig can attest to this, there was one thing in Dark Souls 3 when him and I were doing the play, you and the three of us, but you weren't on this day, Burke, that actually genuinely did freak me out. One thing, and it was that we were in the jails, and in the jails there's like this baby faced thing, and it makes like weird noises, and I told Craig, I go, can I kill it? Can I kill it? Because I always have to ask, can I kill it? Because I don't know what the hell is like. It's a good NPC and what is a monster? I'm like, fuck, no, nope. And I avoided it like it was the plague. Like,
You did say there was one other item. There was a statue somewhere.
The statue was the most unsettling statue. Like that. It's not even a monster you fight, but it was a statue, and I was like, that is the most terrifying thing in the game. So,
like for me, I'm not saying it's like not terrifying. I think it's just the whole nature of the game. It's darker, right? It's dark.
Right, yeah.
Like I'm not going into it and not going for that scared feeling. It's just that intensive survival feeling. Like I don't want to die, because if I die, it could fuck me and I could lose souls. Like that, having that gut feeling is very similar to when I'm playing a scary horror game, and that's what I like. Like, even now that I'm level couple hundred or whatever we're sitting at, 180, I don't know, like I'm like, okay, whatever, I lose 200,000 souls, damn it, that was a lot of time. But now it's like it's lost that scary,
I'm with you,
kind of gut feeling.
And I've taken quite the change on this, because for a while, like, there's a lot of shit that did scare me. Like I said, like the Boo in Mario freaked the hell out of me in Mario 64, Dead Hand, and everything with the well in Zelda scared me. Fucking Majora's Mask just creeped me out. The entirety of that game creeped me out for a long time. I was able to go through and play everything, but it just still creeped me out. And I think the first game that I played that was like, oh, you're playing a horror game, the whole point, was that Condemned Criminal Origins game. Burke, you were talking about earlier.
That's the one, yep.
That was the first one I played. I'm currently trying to go through Resident Evil 7, which is more of a like come back to the actual horror instead of it being like an action horror game. As much as I would have still liked, and I know to every Resident Evil fan, they would punch me in the face, but I like those better because they were co-op games, and I just like co-op games a lot. But
that's why I liked 5.
Yeah. But man, I've made a complete 180 to where before there was a while where I was like, I don't want to see any scary movie. I don't want anything to do with anything. There was like a lot of stuff where I was like, I'm done. I'm out. Especially if it was like demon or like supernatural related. I didn't want anything to do with it. It freaked me the hell out. And then a couple of years ago, like something just lifted. And I was able to just completely immerse myself in all of these. Like, I love going to see like the Annabelle. Like
the old Annabelle. Like, hey, pass me the old Annabelle here, hey, champ.
Well, I always say that because there's a picture, Annabelle Sanchez, that Annabelle creation, like going to see that movie it was freaky as hell, but like it was exhilarating. Like it was that feeling that I was talking about earlier, where it's that stress in your chest. It hurts and something's about to happen. And it's the one thing horror movies have absolutely beautiful with is the sound design for their movies. It's so amazing, the sound design for their movies. So it's just great. I'm just thinking to myself, seriously, 5 years ago, would not have played any of these things. And now I'm like, yeah, let's fucking do it. Let's do Outlast. I'll stream it. Let's all hang out and like see what's going on. Let's freak each other out. Like, it's just so much fun. Let's do it.
Oh, that's yeah. I mean, yes, I can understand that. Yeah. It's especially making that change, as you get older. Like, I watch scary movies, but a little bit more. But the games are still out of my league.
Well, we'll get you into it. I'll go through and find a scary game. I'll stream it, and the three of us will sit down and go through it and just see how we all react.
Can I wear my Ghostbusters jumpsuit the whole time?
Yes, you can.
Okay, then I'll feel more safe.
Yep, and have Evie right next to you the whole time, so you got something to hug on to. We'll be good. We'll go through it.
Okay, I like this now.
Dude, I want to find like a co-op scary game that we can both do at the same time, Craig and I.
They never end up being scary when they're in co-op though, because me and you start like laughing and trying to figure out how to jank the game. We start billy goating up walls. It goes bad real quick.
It does. It's a good point.
I'd still like to see it.
We could try not to break the game for once, Craig, when we get together. That's a good point.
Speaking of
it's not gonna happen.
Speaking of not working together and breaking games, so what are our chances today on this week's quiz?
Well, since this quiz is only slightly longer than most of our high scores, we should see. I had more trouble with this quiz than I thought. I thought I would find a lot more stuff than I did. I was hoping to get a lot about games that weren't necessarily plot related, but that proved difficult. So today's quiz is only about 10 questions long, but I enjoy the question, so I think that's going to be good. And Burke, what's our order tonight?
It is going to be Brian, Craig, and Burke.
All right.
Don't worry, boys. I'll plow the road.
All right. Well, yeah, I'm sure you will, mister. I don't play scary games.
Oh, man.
All right. Although not even close to bad compared to today's standards, what scary PC game from the early 90s was one of the main drivers behind the creation of the ESRB?
I'm going to say it was a PC game, you said? I'm going to say Doom.
I'll go with Doom 2, Electric Doomaloo.
What is Manhunt?
Okay. So, Manhunt, I think, was after the ESRB, and that shit got itself banned in just about every country in the world.
Wait. It's not Castlevania. It's fucking something like that.
Night Trap? What are you talking about?
It is called Night Trap, actually.
Yeah. It's like
Night Trap. Yeah.
Yeah, because
so Night Trap was one of the things where Doom, I think, was also like slightly influential, but Night Trap was when parents were like, we got to get together and like rate this shit like we do movies.
Have you seen Night Trap versus Doom though? Night Trap's not ridiculous. Even scary. It's like
Night Trap is ridiculous, but it was just like it was so like risque for the 90s that they're like, fuck.
I kid you not. It's guys wearing black like robes and like masks and stuff going like this.
And they just like interrupt a
Yeah,
sleepover,
yeah, yeah.
right?
And
It's so
like
ridiculous.
the worst thing you see is them
but
like
it's
grab a girl for a second and then it cuts away and it's like, oh no.
Yeah, but because it was like live action
Yeah.
sequences, parents were like, "Fuck, like we can't have this." So, which non-horror game has a hidden creepy ghost woman?
Pokemon.
Hint: the game is pretty recent.
Should we even, oh wait, hold on. Pokemon X and Y and Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire both have hidden ghost girls.
I'm gonna go with Halo.
Let's go with Assassin's Creed.
All right, so the one I was looking for was Grand Theft Auto
What?
5. So
Okay.
there is a mountain in the game that you can look at.
Yep.
And travel to. It's called Mount Gordon,
Yep.
I believe. And if you look at it with a sniper rifle scope, you will see like this creepy ass ghost woman. Google her picture. She's actually really creepy. Just don't do it yet though. Her name is Jolene, and she was likely a murder victim. And if you travel to the spot where you can see her from, she like writes this name, Jock, in blood. And I guess like Jock is a name that appears all over the Grand Theft Auto games.
Huh.
I'm glad you
So, yeah,
said
she's
that.
actually like really creepy.
I'm glad you said what you said because as soon as you said it, I was like Googling an image or a video of it.
Yeah, look it up after this next question.
Okay.
Okay, so Jolene is based on a real urban legend of a ghost on Mount Gordon in Pennsylvania. What about the real ghost did Rockstar choose not to copy?
Her giant fingernails.
They
idea.
decided to do a parody of the theme song written by Hans Zimmer that was made for her.
Her hair color.
All right, I'm gonna give Burke half a point, actually, because it would also technically be true, I guess. So the real ghost is actually headless. So Rockstar chose to keep her with a head and hair
Wow.
that she would not have otherwise had. But yeah, apparently the real ghost over in Pennsylvania is a headless murdered woman.
Huh.
Interesting.
Yeah, she's got a head on in these pictures.
Yeah, she's pretty creepy though, right? Like for like a game that's not supposed to be creepy, like they put a lot of effort into making her pretty creepy.
Yeah, that is pretty creepy, especially when you see it the way they're supposed to. If you actually, it looks like people modded it and walked up right next to her so she'd stay there the whole time. It's not as creepy then, but from a
Oh, I
distance,
see how
yeah.
it is. The Pokemon ghost gets no love. Okay, fair enough.
What horror franchise came from the development of a sequel in an already established other horror franchise?
Say that one more time. I'm sorry.
So, what horror franchise came out of development of a sequel in an already established horror franchise? So, like, there was a horror franchise, they were making a sequel in that series, and then it turned into a different series altogether.
Oh, the Alien game. You know what I'm talking about? Like it's like based on the actual like Aliens franchise.
I'm gonna go with the game that was like called Fear or FEAR. I want to say it was like it was like BioShock or something like that, and then it switched over to Fear.
Crisis.
All right, you are all wrong.
Damn it. But Crisis did.
So the answer is actually Devil May Cry. So
Really?
they were making what they hoped Resident Evil 4 would be, and then it actually was too different, so they actually made it a separate series and then completely started over with Resident Evil 4.
And I knew that. Now, as soon as you said that, I go, "Fuck!" I remember that.
Yeah.
What popular horror game franchise that has also branched out into other media was developed by a team that were going to lose their job if sales were bad?
Ooh.
Can you repeat that?
Yep. What popular horror game franchise that has branched out into other media was developed by a team that were basically going to lose their jobs if sales were bad?
Boy, I honestly, with my I don't know any horror franchises, so I want to say Final Fantasy because that's true for Final Fantasy, even though it's not a horror franchise. I got nothing here.
I'm gonna go with the Silent Hill.
Resident Evil.
All right, Craig's gonna get the point here. It is Silent Hill.
Wow.
So Konami had this team, and they were basically an entire team of people that were going to lose their jobs, and Konami wanted them to make an interactive movie experience. That was their goal. And the team started doing it. They didn't like anything they were doing, so they were like, you know what? Whatever, we're about to lose our jobs anyway. We're gonna try to just make a game that fucks with people. And then it turned into actually a really popular game, so
Well, good for them.
it worked.
And a terrible movie.
Uh-huh.
The movie wasn't that bad. Kind of gory.
Yeah. It was good.
Which kid-friendly series has a ghost built into the games that will pop up behind you during cutscenes?
I'm gonna still go with Pokemon. It's gotta be something in there.
Let's go with Animal Crossing.
Minecraft.
Brian's gonna get the point here. It is Pokemon.
Finally.
I was like, don't laugh when he said that earlier. Yeah. So there's a part in X and Y where like you're near an elevator and this girl just literally this screen is flashing and this girl just pops up behind you for a second and then it's like, oh, you're not the one, and then just
And
leaves.
she doesn't move her legs when she moves. She literally like slides across like all all the other characters have walking animations. She just glides, and it's just
it's
you're not the
actually
one.
pretty creepy.
And then it just and it's never fucking explained in anything ever. Like it's something that happens, and you're just like, what was that?
And your character can't move either, and it's just like it's actually really creepy for like a completely like not creepy game.
It genuinely scared me, actually, when it happened. I thought like something was going on, and I was like, what the fuck is this? and this is in 2013, and I was terrified. True.
What other Nintendo game that's scary goes even beyond its normal scares and shows the protagonist being hung via a shadow?
I know this one, so I'm gonna go last.
Pokemon: The Last Airbender.
You said, is it a scary game? Go, yes.
Scary. I
Let's
use
go with,
quotes.
Castlevania.
The answer is Luigi's Mansion.
Yep, the answer is Luigi's Mansion. So there's a part where you can kind of like, I don't remember if it's like
I
a mirror
remember
or a
that.
window or something, but like Luigi sees himself being hung, which was pretty creepy.
Yeah, in a shadow.
Because you're just like, what the fuck,
Like the
Nintendo?
lightning
Like-
flashes,
Yeah.
lightning flashes, and like the shadow, like from the way like the light is entering into the room, it like makes him look like he's being hung. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so creepy. Which already scary game series can get even scarier when you're not even actually playing?
A scary game franchise that gets scarier when you're not playing?
Yeah.
Zombies Ate My Neighbors. If
Totally-
you're not playing,
totally
they're gonna-
scary game right there.
Hey, if you're not playing, the zombies will eat the guy.
Plants vs. Zombies. I'm just. No,
I'm
I've got
assuming-
an answer.
I'm assuming it's a newer game and it takes like real world clocks into consideration or some shit. I have fucking no idea. Outlast.
Shit. Should have made a comment. I forgot. I've got nothing.
Plants vs.
Do you wanna-
Zombies
Do you
2.
want to throw a name out there?
No.
Okay, so it's actually the Fatal Frame series. So if you actually like put your controller down or something and you're idling, the game comes up with like a screensaver, and like all of these ghosts will just, because if you don't know the game, because they're a little more obscure, like you have a camera kind of like Outlast, and that's your only weapon against the ghosts, and so you're generally, when you see ghosts, it's generally through the camera, like you're going to, but if you just stand there, like the ghosts will just like swarm as a screensaver, and it's actually, I think, creepier than your actual encounters with the ghosts, because they just like take over your TV because you're just like standing around, but you can't actually be doing anything in the game for it to happen.
Dang.
Which horror series, and this is in the pre-Game Facts days, actually changed so much in development that its first strategy guide is useless?
I'll go with Resident Evil.
I'm actually going to go with Resident Evil as well.
I'm going to go with Castlevania.
Okay, so the answer here is actually Silent Hill again. So like Silent Hill, they made a lot of it. They released a demo with, I don't know, Metal Gear Solid or something. A lot of people played it. The strategy guide makers got their hands on it, and then they were like, oh wait, we got to change a lot of stuff. So then like the game came out, the strategy guide came out, but you couldn't actually use them together because the strategy guide was
Wow.
completely inaccurate at that point. Like it would give you the answers to puzzles that didn't exist or wrong answers to puzzles that did exist. Like
That makes the
was a
game even
mess.
freakier.
Yeah.
yeah, we'll go with that.
Wow.
So one of the other things that adds to the scariness of the Silent Hill franchise is the ever-present fog. However, this was unintentional. It was not meant to be a scare tactic. What was the real purpose of the fog?
Loading between areas.
I'm gonna go last.
I'm gonna go saving the game between areas.
It was a draw distance thing. They couldn't render as much far out, so they put a fog to make it easier for the game to render things in higher detail when you're up closer to them.
Yeah, I'm going to give Craig that point. It was literally to cover up shitty graphics for that reason. Like, that's the technical reason. But, like, if the fog wasn't there, a lot of the game would just look like absolute shit. So they were like, oh, we'll just put this fog to cover that up. And then it actually turned out to just make the game, like, 10 times more fucking terrifying than it was meant to be in the first place. So
There you have it.
all right, that is it. That is all 10 questions I had.
Oh. How'd we do?
Like I said, it was hard to find stuff that wasn't specifically plot related, and I didn't want to necessarily like jump into that.
Man, oh man.
Well, I've got a half a point.
Yay!
Good start.
All right.
Second runner up, half point. Okay.
Yep. And the winners of tonight with 2 points are Greg and Brian.
I did
Wait.
too.
We
Wait a
tied.
minute. Wait.
We
Was it?
tied.
We had because that's right. Because I didn't get the first one. I should have Night Trap. Well, because I thought I had three.
Interternal.
Because I thought I had three. Because but you're right. I had two because I said the other thing before I said Night Trap. Damn it. Oh well. So no tiebreaker tonight.
Nope,
Not unless
Brian
I can
loses
Google
half
one.
a point because he
No.
because he thought a
The reason I say that-
screensaver was a game.
Hey, first off, you ruined a perfectly good ending. I was gonna say because that was the scariest thing of all, and then I was gonna say, and I was gonna play the end music. But now we're stuck in this situation where Michelle actually has to Google the final question. Thanks a lot.
I just closed it. No, I'm not Googling anything. No, I just
Oh, this is terrifying. Oh my god, I'm so freaked out. We all just got ducked out.
Laugh, bitches.